The photo staff at the Rockford Register-Star uses the Gridiron section each year as an opportunity to explore our own creativity. Last year, we played around with light. This year, we tried something completely different and even a little more challenging and shot the entire section underwater. Planning for a shoot like this was not the easiest thing in the world. We had to come up with a list of unique poses for each of the different teams. We also had some logistical hurdles, so to speak. We had to figure out how to get a football to move underwater. Our solution was to fill that football with water so it was weighted and had a pretty much neutral buoyancy so it would move smoothly no matter what the player was doing underwater. We also had to come up with solutions for physically shooting and lighting these pictures. Cameras that work underwater have a lot of limitations usually, or they're very, very expensive. We had to kind of find a in-between that would allow us to shoot, to light, and to have complete control while working in a challenging environment. The camera we chose to use is the Nikon AW1. It's a small, compact, mirrorless camera that goes 50 feet underwater. It has a lot of pros for being the size it is and the full function that it has for such a small, almost a point-and-shoot camera, but really it has a lot of the features that the big professional cameras do. One limitation though is how do we trigger our other flashes? We don't have any ports on here. It has to be sealed up tight or else water can get in. So it has a pop-up flash. That's good because we can use that to trigger a flash like this. However, you have to have some sort of, it's called an optical slave. This little device will detect any other flash and trigger whatever's sitting on that hot shoe. So we would attach these like that, and all of a sudden that flash from this camera will trigger this flash unit to go off. We put these in vacuum seal bags so they were sealed up tight and we could carry those underwater and position them where we needed to. It took another person to serve as a light stand, and they just had to be within line of sight of that flash. So you can see we have another one set up here, and when I fire this camera, that fires too. We could have as many of those as we needed to, as long as they could see each other and all flash at the same time.
We ran into a little bit of technical difficulty when we were trying to use the lights and the strobes under the water. So we came up with a very nice kind of reflector, so we wouldn't have to keep using our hands over and over again. So just put out a gaffer's tape and grab it from a cliff bar. We were able to bounce the flash so it could see the other flash right there. And so with that's how we trigger this flash, and that's how we would trigger the second flash that we have that's off camera.
A couple of the shots proved to be a little more difficult than others, while they all had their own unique challenges. One of our favorites that probably was one of the most logistically challenging was the diving in shot of a Hananika player. And it required us to operate in the deeper end of the pool, which obviously is a little more difficult because everybody has to sink down. While I was shooting that, I wore a fanny pack that was actually weighted with 20 pounds of dumbbells to help hold me down to the bottom of the pool so I could focus, instead of on maintaining my position in the water, to just focus on timing the shot. This camera we're using does not have an instantaneous response, so we kind of have to anticipate and react a little differently than when we're using our normal cameras day in and day out. Also, since we were working at a much longer distance, I had to be back a little farther, we had to use the flash system that we showed you to kind of relay to multiple flashes, because this one isn't powerful enough to trigger one farther out. So this camera would flash, and that would trigger a flash that was next to me, which was brighter, and would trigger to a flash farther off in the pool. And again, timing was everything. I had the player dive in multiple times using that weighted football, diving straight into I had him aim for a certain area in the pool, and I would time it each time, holding my breath underwater until he made his way through. We had somebody dive deep, probably 10 or 12 feet down, to hold a flash in front of him. So he was essentially diving right at that flash. And when that went off, it illuminated him just perfectly, had that trail of bubbles coming up from behind him, and it turned out exactly how we wanted it. Another shot that was a little more challenging was where we had a player from Auburn down in a three-point stance at the bottom of the pool. It seems like pretty straightforward. Okay, you get down in the three-point stance, put some lights up and take the picture. But it's hard to hold yourself at the bottom of the pool. You have to actually breathe out all of your air before you go down and then hold that pose with no breath while we kind of craft the light and take the picture. Brent Lewis did an excellent job of directing the player and getting him comfortable in the water, and got him to the point where he was able to stay down there for a couple shots each time, so we didn't have to take one picture then come up and another picture and come up. We were able to get quite a few shots done each time. It was a matter of getting the lights exactly how we wanted it and us not drifting around in the water. When your light stands move, your light changes each time. So it was another logistical thing we didn't anticipate but worked through and got it just the way we wanted it. Shooting underwater does pose some risks, not just for your personal safety, but also for that of the people you're working with and for your equipment. Make sure everybody is safe if you're going to try anything similar to this, and also make sure you know what your camera and your equipment are capable of. You don't want to bring something expensive and electronic into an environment it's not designated for. We'd like to thank a couple people. Tim Storm is a good friend of ours who made a big difference on the day of the shoot and was an extra set of hands all day. We couldn't have done it without you. Also, thank you to Harlem High School for letting us use your pool all day, and to the players who put up with our craziness each year to come up with some out-of-the-box, in the water images. We know it's a challenge, we know it's an extra workout each year, and we know you have to give us a lot of patience for these shoots, and we really appreciate it, and we hope you and all of the viewers enjoy the images we came up with, and we hope to come up with something creative and even more fun next year. Thanks a lot.